South Africa's struggle with gender based violence is often described as a second pandemic, but every now and then a powerful idea breaks through the despair. One of those ideas was born from heartbreak after a young relative was killed in an act of gender based violence in Cape Town. Activist Leonora Tim decided that she couldn't simply mourn, she had to build something. The result is Grit. That's Gender Rights in Tech, a digital platform designed to give survivors a safe, discreet place to speak, be heard, and to seek help. And at the center of it is Zuzi, an AI powered auntie who listens without judgment and guides users towards support services. What began as a personal mission has now become one of Africa's most celebrated tech for good tools. And to talk us through this journey and its impact, we're now joined by Grit founder and managing director Leonora Tim. Leonora, thanks so much indeed for joining us and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Leonora, this platform was born from a deeply personal tragedy. How did that experience shape the way that you design Grit and what you hope that it will do and what role it would play for survivors?
So I think when the incident happened, I think for me what stood out the most was the silence around the issue around the incident. This was a young woman. She was 19 years old. She was 9 months pregnant at the time of her murder. And that kind of situation in South Africa is so normalized that it wasn't even newsworthy. And her family really struggled in the days afterwards, accessing services, support systems. The DNA backlog at that time was very high. And so when we went into designing the technology, that whole experience really guided how we did so. So we went into communities, we spoke to people, over 800 people for our initial tech, where we asked them how they're using their tools currently, who would they like to respond to their tool, like an emergency situation. And then we built it out from there. And then we went back to the same community and showed the tool and asked, did it work? Was it good? Was it not? And the first one, people were like, no, this is horrific. Like, this doesn't work. It's super inaccessible. So then we went back again. We built it. We rebuilt it so that we really made sure that the community's voice and the lived experiences of survivors was held at the center of the tech that we're building.
And so Zuzi was born, and she's been described as an AI aunt, warm, trustworthy, non judgmental. What kind of reactions and feedback have you been receiving from women and families who've interacted with Zuzi?
So when we created Zuzi, we went into communities again and we asked people, what should she look like? Should it be a she? Should it be a he? Should it be a robot? Non-gendered, what kind of personality? Nobody wanted a lawyer, very big opposition to a lawyer. Social worker was kind of a bit like maybe, but everyone wanted this vision of an aunt, but even to the physical depiction of what she looked like. So then when we took Zuzi back in to do testing with the same communities that we'd built with, people were very surprised, I think, because they're not used to having tech that looks or sounds like them, because tech is often not built for the majority population group. So people were surprised first. Well, wow, she's really pretty. Wow, she looks like me, or she speaks like me, and she understands like, some. We went through a phase recently where she was a little bit overly trained, and she kept on saying "you're" to people. But the idea is like that she is trained to understand slang and local language and speaks, and she picks up on the tone in which you are speaking and responds like that. It's definitely not perfect, and it's definitely still needs work. AI has risks and is problematic, but I do think on the whole, people are often just surprised at the way in which she speaks to them in a way that is normal and understandable.
It's a really sensitive subject matter, and sometimes AI, whilst it can sound emotional and sensitive, it is a machine in the end and a program. How have you been able to try and capture that empathy, that tone that's required, particularly in sensitive scenarios such as the ones that it's working in?
Yeah, it's been quite a journey. We have done testing all over the country with over 2,000 people. I think one thing we've learned is that you can't please everyone, but you want a majority satisfaction rate. Right? but she also can't be too empathetic, because what we got at the beginning was, people also don't want to feel like it is a robot. So you don't want Zuzi to be like, shame, I know what you're feeling, because there's absolutely no way it's a bot. So it's like a fine balance. We did tweak the persona a couple of weeks ago to try and make it a bit shorter, because young people often complain that she speaks too much, because I think especially the younger generation don't read excessively long pieces of material. But then when we shortened her response, she then became quite abrupt. So it's also balancing that within AI. And it is a bit of a balancing game, constantly going in and tweaking the persona. She also has a couple of different AI assistants within her persona, which might pick up like a specific challenge that is related to a specific demographic group. And then that persona will come in, and it's trained on very specific context, for example. So yeah, it's a game of balance, I think, is the answer.
What are you finding that Zuzi is helping with most? Women in these kinds of scenarios, what kind of help are they seeking, and what are the kind of conversations that Zuzi is having?
So I actually just did an analysis of the conversations the other day. Alarmingly and horrifyingly, one of the biggest trends that we saw actually is child disclosures of abuse and sexual assault. And this is something we're now navigating internally because it's exceptionally complicated. But then outside of that, a few around like tech facilitated GBV, we see that somewhat. And then a lot of conversations actually around women asking questions on economic empowerment and how they can upskill themselves and how they can get training, those kind of things. I think it's a sign of the economy that we sit in currently. And then just general chattiness. We find that people come in and just chat, some homework requests, and which she doesn't answer, and some things like that.
Well done on this innovation, and I think it's such a wonderful gift to our continent. Thank you so much indeed for talking us through this. Sad that it was born out of tragedy, but I think the many, many, many women that it can help and save has been a wonderful gift as well. Thank you so much, Leonora.
Thank you for your time.
That's Leonora Tima, who's the founder and managing director of Gender Rights in Tech Grit, formerly Kwanele, which is an AI tool for women that they can use, particularly those that are facing or have suffered gender-based violence. It's 10 to 9, which means it's time to have a chat with the On the Move team that are going to be with us after